Good evening and welcome. Tonight is the third edition of College Football Wraparound, but of course that we will get into that a little bit later. But Wraparound Reports is coming to you live from Gulf Shores, Alabama tonight, while we're on vacation. So kind of nice. It's our second edition of Wraparound Reports. Of course, last week we took a week off after discussing in week 0, kind of previewing the college football season. So we had that all under control. So, welcome, Jack. How have you been?
Been doing good, Cooper.
All right. So as we do on this show, Daddy, you give me all the topics you want to talk about. And so what we're going to do tonight is that we've got a couple games we want to detail, and then we've got teams to watch and coaches to watch, which we'll get to here a little bit. So I do want to start with the teams to watch. So who are you feeling like in week 2? Who is some of the biggest teams to watch this week?
Well, I got about 4 right now I'm kind of looking at for different reasons. Number 1, I got Virginia Tech. After the big win against North Carolina, now they come home, and I can't remember who they're playing, but it's a game that they should win. We're going to see what their emotions are, how they come from a big win, now what they're going to do. So I'm looking for them. Penn State, Notre won the road last week, but Wisconsin, big win, come home. You see again. Hey, how do you handle winning? These schools hadn't won a lot the last several years, so now we're going to see how they handle that emotionally. Speaking of that, North Carolina, preseason top 10, Heisman favorite, big hype on them, looked really bad against Virginia Tech. When they come home now, got a chance to, hopefully come back and play like we expect them to play all year. We'll see how they react to that. And number 4, one you probably going to want to think about, Nebraska. Yeah, I should win easily. That's not the problem. Next week to go to Oklahoma. Next week at Oklahoma is a huge game because it's the 50th anniversary of 71 game. Everything happened. So Nebraska, are these players mentally ready to play this game, or are they thinking about next week? So that's 4 I'm kind of looking at just right off the top that just kind of interests me.
Yeah. So I think some teams that I want to see. Of course, I want to see Georgia. I want to see if their offense can score a touchdown, because I think that's going to be big, because their offense didn't score a touchdown, which, I mean, yes, they were playing a good defense in Clemson, but I still feel like the Georgia offense didn't show enough to me to say that they're a top 2 team. So I want to see a little bit more from Georgia's offense. I want to see them play a little better. The only question right now is is JT Daniels going to play after getting hurt in practice? So I think that's something to watch for. And then I want to see Clemson. Okay, in the last few years, I want to go back and see when's the last time Clemson started 0-1. That's what I want to know. And yes. And I mean, I think that Clemson is a big time question mark here, because, and I mean, personally, I think they should have fell a little further than 6th, but I want to see how they handle the rest of the schedule, because last week losing to Georgia was the biggest game that they're going to have all season long is Georgia, and they lost. And I know it was a neutral site game to Georgia, but I want to see that offensive line of Clemson's get better, because that was the big issue Saturday night, was the offensive line. And I want to see I want to see DJ Uiagalelei. I want to see him go run a little bit more than he did, because he had a bunch of opportunities to run the football, and he just kind of he wasted his opportunities against Georgia. And I mean, I'm not saying Georgia didn't play great defense. I mean, they played an outstanding game on defense. But I feel like there were opportunities that Clemson had in that game that they passed up on, which could have helped them in the long run. So I want to see more from Clemson. And then Oklahoma. I understand they're not playing a huge team, but I want to see a little more out of that Oklahoma offense and that Oklahoma defense. I mean, they kind of took their foot off the pedal in that second half against Tulane, and it almost cost them the game, especially when you consider the fact that they lost an onside kick to Tulane, which, I mean, when you're thinking about it, kicking teams don't normally recover onside kicks. So that was a game that came down to the last play. So I want to see more from Oklahoma. I want to see because they were very highly rated, just like North Carolina in the preseason, and I feel like they kind of disappointed in their first game, just like North Carolina. So I want to see more of that Oklahoma. I want to see Oklahoma actually win and not take their foot off the pedal. So
I say that. I like some of them teams too, so what they're going to look like, especially Georgia. After becoming a big win like that, there again, how do you handle it? Do you stay at that level or do you go back down? They're playing a decent team, UAB, so not like they're playing a weak team. So if they don't play good, they could potentially lose this game. So they better be careful. I don't see them losing, but you never know. There's always going to be upsets. This could be one to watch for. And, Oklahoma, I look for their defense, see what they do. But there again, also, they got Nebraska next week. That, the game on the field may not be that good next week, but the whole week is going to be just huge. Probably it may be the biggest thing he went through because there are going to be so many old players coming back. Or the players be ready to handle all that. So that's two teams I look at too, and just kind of interested what they'll do.
And about Clemson, I don't think they're really going to lose again, but I think the big question mark is, now that they lost to Georgia and the way that they played in that game, does it affect their status for the playoffs? So that's a question we'll have to figure out throughout the season. Of course, they'll have to win. I mean, in my opinion, they're going to have to win every game they have left very convincingly to be able to have a shot, because I feel like if you struggle against somebody, and I mean, if you get down to a situation where you have three undefeated teams and then you have two one-loss teams, I mean, at this point, I don't know if Clemson gets in. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to say now because it's too many games to play. But if they win out, they're going to have a very good argument to be in. If they are 11-1, 12-1, whatever, in ACC champs, it's going to be hard to leave them out. So
true.
So we'll wait and see.
Yep. So let's move on. Coaches to watch for. Of course, we've got some great coaches this weekend. So who are you looking forward to watching this weekend?
Well, I got two right off top I just want to talk about. One is Jim Harbaugh. It's Michigan, yes. And we know they have beat Ohio State. We know the whole deal. They have one. It's Washington. Yes, I know Washington. I believe they got beat last week. Yeah, we understand all that. But it's a primetime game, ABC. Harbaugh, this is one of those, like, you had a bad season last year. Your contract got reworked. And it's a big game. He needs to win this game. Yes, he needs to beat Ohio State, but he needs this one. Because if he doesn't win this one, then we're going to start hearing the fans may eventually be like, all right, we're through with him. But if he can win this one, then all right, it may lead him to have a good year, which they haven't. It's been a year or two. That one. Then the second one, obvious, Scott Frost. Yes, they should win Saturday. That shouldn't be the problem. But the pressure's on him after the first week losing Illinois, and the way they lost and how bad they played. Now, you got this. You got two. Last week you won. This week you should win. Oklahoma next week. I know it's looking ahead, but I'm not saying they're going to beat Oklahoma, but if they at least play Oklahoma good, and you say, all right, that's a good game, you may see Nebraska, you may see an improvement in that school and be like, all right, maybe this is the guy we got. This is the guy we wanted. All right. And I got a third one, and I'm going totally opposite on this one. It's Matt Campbell in Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
This game is huge for him. Yes, people who keep up with football, they know how good he is. They've seen him. But now, College Game Day is going to be there this week. You're playing your rival Iowa. And there's a lot of people that are talking about, hey, this guy that could be a, big time school could come get him. This is the game right here that everybody in America's good to watch. I think it's a primetime game also, I believe. I may be wrong. I don't remember, but still. The game day being there, you're going to have all the ESPN, all the attention's on him. If he goes out and Iowa State beats Iowa, all of a sudden, your general fan's going to realize, hey, this guy can actually coach. And there's going to be looking at these bigger schools, eventually going to come after him. NFL may come after him. He already come after him. He stayed at Iowa State. But what he does Saturday could determine his future. That's the three I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I totally agree about Iowa State. And also, a stat you want to throw out, I believe that the last 4 meetings between Iowa and Iowa State, Iowa has won those games. So that could be a big deal, too, getting his first win against his in-state rival.
Last week,
yeah, so we'll certainly see. Of course, for me, I do, as far as coaches I want to see this weekend, I do feel like I would like to see, I want to see Bill Clark against Georgia. Yes, I don't think UAB's really got a shot in the game, but I think the big thing is, because he's a guy who a lot of people have seen that can coach. I mean, a lot of football fans know he can coach, and I think if your big-time teams that your team is not looking so great, you're going to look at a guy like Bill Clark, and especially around the Southeast, I think he could potentially, if there's an SEC job that comes open, then I feel like, okay, let me throw one out. And this is maybe a long shot because I think this team will get someone like a bigger name. But what if LSU ends up firing Ed Orgeron? Could Bill Clark, if Bill Clark looks real good against Georgia, and I'm not saying, like, if you play Georgia into a tight game, potentially LSU could look at you and say, hey, look, this guy can coach. We think that he could be really good for our squad. So, that could be big. So, I think this game could determine a lot of what happens with him. And, of course...
Well, I was going to say, you told Bill Clark, let's not forget, UAB's won the conference through the last 3 years. On top of that, this is a program that got shut down, about 5-6 years ago. He had to basically come back from scratch and rebuild this program. And all of a sudden, they've won 2 championships in 3 years. So, yeah, the guy can coach. And I think, remember, for a year or two ago, Mississippi State was trying to get him. They went with Mike Leach. So, the schools know about him. But you're right. This game here, if they were to upset Georgia, it might put him more high profile, and they may eventually look to go somewhere else. He's a guy that, I don't know how great a coach he is, but obviously he can build a program. If you can take UAB from the bottom and bring him back up in just a couple of years, yeah, he's a good coach. I like Bill Clark.
Yeah. As far as another guy I want to see, and I'm going to step into the SEC right here. I want to see Dan Mullen because last week, you played good, but you struggled a little bit against Florida Atlantic in a game that you were. You won, but you were favored to win by a lot, and I want to see a little more out of Florida. I want to see I want to see Emory Jones play really good, and I want to see that Dan Mullen magic with quarterbacks. He's coached a bunch of great quarterbacks. Kyle Trask, Tim Tebow, the list goes on and on. Dak Prescott, yes. And so I think I want to see a little bit more out of Dan Mullen, though. I think it's an interesting game you're going into. You're going to South Florida. You're supposed to win that game.
Right.
But, again, it's just like Georgia. South Florida could easily win this game if Florida doesn't play like they should. So, I think
let's not forget who Florida plays next week.
Alabama at home and the Swamp.
Right. So you don't know there again how some of these players their mental state's going to be. Are they thinking about that game next week? You know,
Mm-hmm.
they got to watch yourself and not slip up. I think they should win. South Florida, I don't think it's very good, but a lot of these college games, a lot is mental in it. It's not the physical part; it's the mental part. So they got to keep yourself mentally sharp and go out and take care of business.
I agree. So, any more coaches you have?
Well, I mean, you can still kind of look at Justin Fuentes, Virginia Tech, big win. You know, he's been coming in the season. He was one of probably top 4 or 5 guys on the hot seat. Okay, his seat's cool now. Now, you got to keep winning. You can't slip up and lose somebody. All of a sudden, if you lose to another, a lesser opponent, all of a sudden the seat's going to be warm again. But I like him, and I hope he does good at Virginia Tech. But he's got to keep winning. That win
Mm-hmm.
last week definitely put him back in a good graces. So we'll see. I like looking at him, see what he's going to do.
All right. Well, we are coming to the last 14 minutes of our program for Wraparound Reports. Of course, stay tuned because immediately after that, we've got college football wraparound on a Friday night special here live from Gulf Shores. So I'll be here. Colton will take your spot, Jack. So that'll be fun as we'll dive into the Big 12 and we'll dive into picking some of the games. So, of course, let's get into some of the games that you wrote down that you were really interested in singing this weekend. First off, Iowa and Iowa State. How do you see this game going?
I like this game. I think this actually may be the most important game of the whole week. I know Oregon, Ohio State's under 2, but this one here, is Iowa for real? I think they are. Is Iowa State for real? I think they're for real. I like Iowa State in this game. I don't, something about them, the experience they've had. They had, like I said, they lost 4 straight to Iowa. I just like them in this game. I think this is a chance for them to put their program possibly top 5. If they win this one, then it's them and Oklahoma in the Big 12, and they split with Oklahoma last year, so they got the confidence to beat Oklahoma. Now if they can go beat Iowa, that might jumpstart the rest of their season. I like Iowa State in that one.
You know, I agree with you. I like Iowa State in this game. Iowa is not going to go away though because Iowa is a good team. And last week, if you go back and watch pregame show from last week, I picked Indiana to beat them, and we all know how that ended up. So Iowa is for real, and I was not going to go out without giving Iowa State a good game. So, and like we've been referring to a lot in this show, is that it's mental. It's mostly a mental game. And so I think that if you're Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, they've got to go out and play great football this Saturday. If you don't, then you could potentially get beat to a very good Iowa team. So I like Iowa State in this game, but don't be shocked at all if you see Iowa win this game because these are 2 top 10 teams going at it. So this is going to be a good game to watch. And, of course...
Well, I was going to say, the good thing for both of them is it's a non-conference game. So no matter what happens, either one of them still win their conference. So it doesn't affect them conference-wise. But it's your rival. So, yeah, it's a big game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's going to be a big game that's coming up tomorrow at 3:30. 3:30. So, but Central Time. Course. If you're in any other time zone, you'll have to look up your local listings and get that all figured out. So the next game you got here is Oregon and Ohio State.
Yeah, there again, this probably gonna be the most hyped game because people consider them possibly 2 playoff teams. But Ohio State's played at home. They're hard to beat at home. Oregon's going on the road. I don't know. I don't know good reason. I think Ohio State's got more talent. I think they'll just eventually beat it. I think it may be a close game. I think the end Ohio State will pull away. And I like Ohio State in this one.
Yeah, I like Ohio State in this game, mostly on the fact that we don't know a lot about Kayvon Thibodeau, how his health is coming, because he did last week get hurt. He had a foot injury in the game that he ended up in a boot there, and I don't think he played again throughout the game. So for Oregon, I think if Kayvon Thibodeau's 100%, then you've got a game. But if he's not out there, and remember, he was one of my Heisman favorites. So I think if he doesn't play Saturday, then I think Ohio State's going to win this game big. But of course, it's at Ohio State. It's hard to go into Ohio State and win. It's possible, but it's going to take a lot of effort. You're going to have to play a great game, and Oregon certainly looks like a team that could do it. But like I said, without Kayvon Thibodeau, I don't trust them. So I'm going to go Ohio State in this game. So we'll see, of course, but I think Ohio State will pull out the win.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But for that Ohio State-Oregon game, another thing is I want to see more out of C.J. Stroud, though. I mean, it was his first start against Minnesota, and
on the road.
On the road at Minnesota. It was raining that night, and it was on national television. So
He came up big. He came up big second half, made some plays. So yeah.
But I want him to clean up some of the mistakes he had in the first half of that game, because I think he had a couple of mistakes in the first half that really set him back. And, let's be honest. He's not going to be a Justin Fields. He's not going to be... he doesn't... after the first game, he doesn't look like he's going to be as good as Justin Fields. But, of course, there's more to be seen this season. And that's just the first week. And it was a good week of football, so...
I agree.
So, the next game you've got is another Pac-12 Big Ten matchup between Washington and Michigan in the Big House.
It's in the Big House, and if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to play last year Washington, but because of COVID and everything, they didn't get to play. But this, to me, it's Jim Harbaugh. This is a big game for him. He's got to win this one. I think to sustain himself in Michigan, and to keep the fans off of him, and the media title. A lot of media put people down on him. I like Harbaugh. I hope he can win in Michigan. It's nice for college football to have Michigan winning, but they're getting this. I do think this is a primetime game on ABC tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So they're again primetime Michigan, and I think we talked a while ago. Washington got beat last week, right?
Yes, to Montana.
Which they're again like we talked about earlier. Maybe Washington's players are thinking about next week. But all that being said, I like Michigan. I just playing at home, night game, with all the I don't say pressure, but the tension they're getting. I like Michigan in this one.
Yeah, I think one thing that has hurt Michigan in the last couple of years is we don't know about the quarterback situation. It's been very... the waters have been murky right there with the quarterback situation. I feel like for a guy like Jim Harbaugh, he could have. The last couple of years he could have been better with quarterback development. And of course, if you go look at a guy like Joe Milton, who transferred out and went to Tennessee, who's doing. He looked good for Tennessee last week. He didn't look incredible, but he looked good. Yeah. So, I think I want to see more out of Cade McNamara for Michigan. It's going to be an interesting game for sure. Yeah. But Washington to me, going into the season, I didn't have a lot of expectations for them. And I think Michigan right now, and I think Jim Harbaugh is on the hot seat. He's got to win this game, and I think they will win this game. So...
yeah, we agree.
All right, we are coming to the last 5 minutes, so we've got 3 more games. First, UAB and Georgia.
Well, like you, I like Georgia, but there again, if J.D. Daniels doesn't play, I can't think of the backup's name right now, but he played last year. But Georgia, they're not caring who we watch it. We've been through that team. I think it's going to be a close game, but I like Georgia.
Yeah, I like Georgia as well. And it's like what we both have said. If JT Daniels doesn't play, then this is a very
Scary.
very scary game for Georgia with a team like UAB, who's won their conference the last couple years. It's got a good coach in Bill Clark, who could potentially take a big job this next year or so. So UAB is going to want to come out because this is going to be one of the biggest games they play all season. So they're going to try to come out and play the best football all year. Yeah. So if you're Georgia, don't take this game lightly. This is going to be a dogfight from the beginning of the game. So I think Georgia's going to win, but they better be careful in the end of this game because Georgia, they're in trouble right now, and I feel like the offense has got to play better, but we'll see. How about a primetime game, Texas and Arkansas?
Well, I like this game too. This is, old rival, old Southwest Conference rivals and stuff. Texas going on the road, to Arkansas, which Arkansas played a lot better last year than people expected. And as I said a while ago, Sark's got a chance to be the first Texas coach to be 2-0, go 2-0 his first year since the mid-'70s. So, but I like Texas. I like them in this game. I think the talent's better in Arkansas. But there again, first road test, new coach, the atmosphere is going to be great at Arkansas. You know that. Old rivals. I think this game probably be close also, but I'm going to take Texas. I like them.
In this game, I think it's going to be a real good game. I mean, you're talking about old rivalry. You're talking about two teams that feel like they have something to prove to football as far as we want to be back, and we are back. Of course, Texas last week, I feel like they looked real good against a very strong competition in Louisiana from the Sun Belt. And, I mean, people may say, okay, Louisiana's in the Sun Belt. How could they be good? Well, if you're a big football fan, you know what Levi Lewis at Louisiana has done. So Texas winning that game, and I understand it's at home, but that's a big win right there for
good quality.
And of course, also a big thing is how was your quarterback going to play? Because Sam Ehlinger has gone to the NFL, and for what I saw from Hudson Card, he looked real good. Now Arkansas, on the other hand, I feel like they struggled a little bit against Rice, picked it up in the second half, and played well. So for KJ Jefferson in that offense, I want to see a little bit more, but this is where you're going to be a little shocked. I just feel like with this being a rivalry game and this being a big game, I'm going to take the upset. I think Arkansas can pull it out, and I think Arkansas, they look good, and like you said, Sark with that pressure to go 2-0, that may be big. So
yeah, that's a good pick. I like Texas, but I think it's a good pick.
All right, last game, Pitt and Tennessee. Who do you got?
Well, I like Tennessee. I know it's a Johnny Majors classic, whatever, because Majors coached Pitt, coached Tennessee. Tennessee at home. I don't know. I may be crazy. I think Tennessee's going to be a pretty decent team this year, and this is a chance for them to stand out and make a statement quick. I know last week they played. I can't think who they played, but this is the game. I think they got a chance to make a statement. I like Tennessee.
Well, I like Pitt in this game. Kenny Pickett, their quarterback, real good. I feel like their offensive line looks real good this season, and I mean, it's just Josh Heupel's first year, so we're gonna have to give him some time, see what happens, and then we'll see from there.
What?
Well, that is it for Wraparound Reports. Stay tuned because Colton is coming in for college football wraparound. And with that, welcome to college football wraparound Friday night style. It's a good night to be here live from Gulf Shores, and now joining me is Colton Naylor. If I could, there we go. Colton Naylor now joins me for a college football wraparound. I am thankful for him. We've got a lot to dive into. Of course, Colton, you listened to mine and Jack's conversation just a minute ago. So, any takeaways?
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't listen to it, but when I did listen, I do think you had a good point about the Kenny Pickett.
All right. Well, let's dive in a little bit more. And yes, we do have a live game going on, Coastal Carolina and Kansas right now. So let's dive into a little bit about the Big 12. As today, officially today, they have announced that they have invited BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF into the conference. Of course, this is going to be a big shift in the conference. You lost Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC, your two biggest teams in the conference, and now you add four more. Colton, what do you think is the future going to look like for the Big 12?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite the powerhouse conference anymore. I think now, with Big 12 practically folding like that, I see it being more of like a pack or an ACC style team conference, because although it's still going to have some pretty good teams, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, and I can see that. I mean, you're losing Texas and Oklahoma, and in that game alone, that was like the biggest drawing game for your conference in football. Now, basketball, I do feel like could be a different story, because I feel like Oklahoma and Texas were not really the big teams in basketball. But when it comes down to it, football is always going to be put ahead of basketball or anything in this country. And so I think when you're looking at it from BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, all four of them will bring a football presence. Houston being the worst of the four, because Houston brings more of your basketball, of course making the Final Four this past season. So I think it's an interesting situation you have unfolding here. And personally, I do think that it's going to be interesting to see. And so I want to see where this goes. I think you could end up seeing a moment where you could see either BYU or UCF or Cincinnati could be in the top 10 in football, and they can make the playoff now. I mean, if you're looking at some of these teams who have yelled for years, we want more respect. Well, here you go. You're getting the chance to be in a Power 5 conference, and you get a chance to prove to people in college football, hey, we deserve to be in the playoff. Now, if you want my personal opinion, I think that they left one team, a team that has needed to be in the Power 5 for a couple years now, but has not made it yet, Boise State. They've proven themselves to college football. Hey, we're good enough to hang with the best of them. I mean, go back and look at a couple. I mean, you go back down the line, they won the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. They weren't supposed to win, but they beat them. You know who their coach was? Chris Peterson, who a couple years later would lead the Washington Huskies to the college football playoff against Alabama. So, I think what you see here is that these teams are going to be interesting because they've proven themselves in football. And Houston, not as much, but the other three, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF, they've proven themselves to college football. Hey, we deserve a chance for better, and they now have a chance. I do think, Colton, that the Americans left with a big gap. What do you believe?
Yeah, I think you are correct about that. I do think they could be a better conference, but I don't think the Big 12 really has a chance. Now they are getting BYU. They have a good chance, but I don't think they can really be the perfect conference like the SEC. The SEC ultimately has the better teams.
Okay, I want to ask you about the American. Where are they left in all this? Do you think they pick up somebody, a couple more teams? Where do you see the American going from this?
Well, the American's complicated. I don't think the American's a great conference. So, no, I do not see the American staying very long. Honestly, I see pretty much it all turning into one conference, being the SEC.
All right. Well, we are now done talking about the Big 12, and we got 13. Well, we got about 23 minutes until top of the hour when we'll end the video in the stream for tonight. Of course, we thank you for watching tonight, but we are not done yet. So, I guess we can go ahead and start picking some games. And of course, as you look down there, first game we've got on the docket, Middle Tennessee at Virginia Tech. Now, this is a game where Virginia Tech is supposed to win this after having a big win against North Carolina. They weren't ranked. They jump up to 19 now. Colton, does Middle Tennessee shock them, or do they win this game?
Yeah, I have Virginia Tech on this one. Virginia Tech beat North Carolina. They've proven that they're a really good team. So I don't think Middle Tennessee has a shot at this.
All right. Well, for me, I think for Virginia Tech, where's their mindset in this game? That's the big question here. Are they going to come out and play good, or are they going to come out and play sluggish, not so good football, turning the ball over a lot? And I think this is a game where they should win. They should win this game. But I'm just kind of trying to think of, like, what happens then. So I'm going to pick Virginia Tech, but they better be watching out because they better have their mind in the right place for this game. And, their quarterback, Braxton Burmeister, great quarterback. He's going to be good for Virginia Tech, and I think that they have a good chance to have a great season after that one game against North Carolina. So we'll see for Virginia Tech. So moving right along with our coverage tonight, Eastern Michigan, at Wisconsin. Now this game, this is a big game for Wisconsin. Coming off of a loss at home to Penn State, you now host Eastern Michigan. Colton, where are you going with this?
Yeah, I'm going Wisconsin. I don't think Eastern Michigan has a shot. I think Wisconsin is a very good team. I have Wisconsin.
And I agree. Wisconsin, I think, is going to be a great team. It's just a hard game that was scheduled for week 1 against James Franklin and that Penn State team. I picked Wisconsin last week, but, game ended the way it did. But I think the big thing is Graham Mertz has got to clean up turnovers. You can't turn the ball over as much as he did. That's a big issue that's got to be cleaned up Saturday. So I'm going to go Wisconsin. But they have got to clean up some things because I feel like if they don't, then this is going to be a loss for Wisconsin. Of course, week 2 is a lot about, most of the time, it's a lot about where is your mindset coming into this week, because there's a chance you could lose a game that you're not supposed to lose. So you've got to play really good or you're going to lose. So I think it's a big deal, and we'll see what happens, but I think Wisconsin's going to get the win. Big game right here in the SEC Big 12, SEC and Big 12. Texas at Arkansas, Colton. Where are you going with this one?
Okay, this one might be a weird game. I have Texas winning this one, but I do think Arkansas is a better team. I have Texas winning this game because of how good they played last week, but I have Arkansas doing very good for the rest of the season.
Well, I'm going to have to go with what I said in the last couple of minutes ago, and that is I'm going Arkansas. And it's because I feel like Arkansas has the team where I know they struggled last week. And I feel like with this being a rivalry game at home, which you got the advantage at home, and you've got the fans right behind you, this is a big game. And I feel like Arkansas is going to play a great game. And Texas, on the other hand, has got a lot of pressure. Sark bringing the Alabama offense that is really great. We don't know what is in store with that offense. So I think that Arkansas is going to get the win because I think a lot of what you're going to see is Texas is going to have a lot of pressure on themselves and not play so well. So we'll see with that game. I've got Arkansas right now, and of course, we got a long time till the end of the season to see where these teams go. Texas has a good chance to be in the Big 12 championship, or maybe even better, go to the college football playoff. It's a possibility, but I think right now, Arkansas will get the win. So, all right, moving on to a Pac-12 game. Stanford at USC. It is a night game. It's called It's a thing that they do called Pac-12 After Dark, and this is an interesting game when you think about it. Colton, where are you going to go with this?
Yeah, I am going for USC on this one. USC is a pretty good team. I like their coach. I have USC winning. With it being Stanford and USC, a conference game at USC at dark, yes, USC should have the advantage being at home, but there's just something in me that says this is a week where you could see a lot of upsets, and I feel like Stanford could potentially upset USC because I feel like right now Stanford, they didn't look good against they did not look good against a team like they didn't look good against Kansas State at all. And I think they come back to California, and I think they play a good game, and I think Stanford will win the game. So we'll see. Of course, that'll be at 9:30 tomorrow night. Florida traveling to USF. This is a game like me and Jack talked about. That Florida, where's their mind going to be? It's a lot of these games is where their mind's going to be when they keep the football off. So, Colton,
Where are you going to go on this one?
Okay, this is a pretty good game. I have Florida winning this one. I think Florida has a very good coach. Florida has one of the better quarterbacks this season. I have Florida winning.
I got Florida as well. I think their mindset, though, is going to be interesting to see. So we'll see about Florida. But, of course, they got the upper hand. Mindset is going to be the big key. So we'll see. All right, next game, Ball State at Penn State. Colton?
I have Penn State winning that one.
I agree. Penn State looked good last week, and I think they're going to let the good times roll on. So, next one, Toledo at Notre Dame. Now, do remember, Notre Dame played good football Sunday, but they did struggle just a tad at Florida State on prime time, only game of the day. So, Colton, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I am going for Notre Dame in this one. I think they are going to do better.
I think they'll play a lot better this week than they did Sunday. And I feel like there was a lot of pressure on them. Like, okay, this game means nothing. You have to win this game big time or it's a letdown. So I feel like that comes into play. And it was a good game against Florida State, but they could have played better, in my opinion. They could have played a little bit better, and so we'll see what happens. Murray State and Cincinnati.
Okay, I have Cincinnati on this.
I got Cincinnati as well. Desmond Ridder, he is a great quarterback. He's going to come out and play a great game against Murray State. Of course, Murray State's not that big of a team, but mindset is the big question right here. They got to come out and play good football for 60 minutes, and their minds have got to be in the right place. So I got Cincinnati, but they better watch out. SC State at Clemson.
Okay, I have Clemson in this one. Although I think they underperformed last week, I think they're still going this one.
I agree. And the big question for Clemson right now is your odds to make the playoff are, you can't lose again. You cannot lose another game to make it to the playoff. It's going to be hard, but Clemson has the team to do it. So we'll see, but Clemson had better come out and play some good football. All right, Texas A&M at Colorado, former rivalry game from the Big 12.
Okay, I have Texas A&M on this one. I don't think Colorado has enough assets on this one. It's got to be Texas.
I'm going A&M as well. They have a good team. Haynes King, their quarterback, looked real. He struggled a little bit. And, of course, it's just the first game playing Kent State at home. But I want to see what he does on the road at Colorado, which, I think that it's going to be an interesting game to see how they play. So we'll see for sure how A&M does. So, all right, next game, Colton. I already know who you're picking in this one. Who you got?
Oklahoma.
I got Oklahoma as well. They better improve, though. They better keep the pedal down when they're up, because if they don't, they could be in real trouble here. So, UAB and Georgia.
I have Georgia on this one. Georgia's a very good team. I just don't have them losing by any circumstance, possibly. And so, yeah, I have Georgia.
I got Georgia as well. Big question is JT Daniels. That's a big question. And then the rest of the offense, how are they going to perform? That's the big questions right now. So, We got 3 more games to pick. Mercer and Alabama.
I have Mercer losing to Alabama.
Yep. I got Bama as well. Yep. Bryce Young. Okay. Get ready, everybody. Bold prediction time right now. Bryce Young will win the Heisman Trophy. Write it down, everybody. Get a piece of paper. Write it down. Hold me accountable if I'm wrong. But Bryce Young will win the Heisman. After week 1, he looked stupendous. He will win the Heisman. Big thing is, though, don't get hurt. So, I got Alabama winning this game. Bryce Young will win the Heisman. All right. We've got 2 more games. In the first one, Iowa and Iowa State.
I have Iowa on this one. I feel like Iowa is going to win this, but I would not be shocked if Iowa State wins.
I got Iowa State. They haven't beat Iowa in the last couple years. This could be a big game for Matt Campbell for his future. So I'm going to go Iowa State because he's going to win and he's going to let all the rest of the big teams know, hey, Matt Campbell can coach football. So now we've gotten to the game of the week. Oregon and Ohio State. Colton, I'll let you go first.
I have Ohio State on this, although I think Oregon's a very strong team. I don't think they can pull through.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ohio State wins the game. Oregon puts up a fight, but without Thibodeau, if Thibodeau does not play, then I got Ohio State winning big. Well, that is our picks. And tonight is the night before the 20th anniversary of 9/11. We all know what happened, and it's horrific. And we want to celebrate the people who survived, but we do want to send our condolences to the families who still grieve to this day over lost members from the terror attacks. We all know that was a sad situation. It was the first time we saw terrorism on United States soil. So we want to salute every person in that situation, and we want to hope that you will pray for the situation. This is a situation where God will lead us out of the hard times, so of course we will see what happens. Of course, we all know of all the rest of the situations going on in our country right now. So, Colton, anything to add?
Nope.
All right, everybody. We will end this a little early. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next week.